Are you struggling to improve? Don't know how to get unstuck? Well, then this is the video for you. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the many different things you can do to improve in Osu Mania at the different rank ranges. So we'll start with 6-digit, 5-digit, and then 4-digit, and even the low 4 digits. I would give advice for 3 digits, but I don't think they really need advice at that point. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and enjoy the video. 6-digit can be a confusing time, especially for new players, so I want to get some important definitions out of the way for any of those new people that might be watching. It's very important to keep in mind that there are a variety of different skill sets in the game, and there's all sorts of different play styles where you can play for accuracy, or you can push your stamina, and there's terms such as PP farm, rank, digits, as we've been saying in this video. PP farm basically just means farming the performance points, which are what you are awarded after doing ranked plays on Osu. And those performance points are what give you ranks. Ranks will then apply to a global leaderboard where you can see all the different people that play Osu Mania, Osu Standard, Osu Catch, Osu Taiko, all the different modes in Osu, and even the different key modes 4K and 7K in Osu Mania. And basically 6-digit is just when you're 6 digits in your rank, 5 digits in your rank, etc, etc. And Dans. Oh, what? Are basically compilation maps where they push certain skill sets and they basically test your abilities in a marathon style so you can see your progression. They're also used as a way of measuring people's skill in the community because the star rating system, which is meant to be the Osu's default way of measuring how hard a map is, isn't very good in Mania, unfortunately. But now that that's out of the way, let's get to some important habits and things that you just should always remember no matter what your rank is. So one of the most important things you can do to keep your improvement rate high and also just to allow yourself to be able to play Osu Mania long term is just stretch before every session. Stretch your wrists, and I have a video right here showing me doing some wrist stretches. Just stretch them out. You'll thank me later for it, seriously. Especially as you start getting into like 5 and 4 digit, you're going to put a lot more strain on your wrists. You want to make sure your wrists are going to be okay. You don't want to get carpal tunnel or anything like that. It sucks. Drink some water every session. Always have some water with you. Be mindful about your body. If you feel like serious pain, then don't keep playing. And that's why it's really important to learn the difference between the pain from pushing your stamina and pushing your limits versus the pain of like actually hurting yourself. You're going to injure yourself. You're playing something stupid. It's really important to get more in touch with your body over time and learn the difference between those things as you get better at the game. As a 6-digit, it's not something you have to worry about a lot, but as you get more into the game, you should definitely be thinking about it. And now let's finally get onto some specific tips for people in that 6-digit range. First of all, in the 6-digit range, I would say you probably want to aim for an accuracy of around 90 to 98%. But if you do get lower accuracy, even going down to like 70%, that's completely normal for someone starting the game. You're going to want to change around your skin, your scroll speed. There's all sorts of different ways that you can play the game and change the visuals of the game to match your own personal preference. There's all different types of skins, and I actually have an entire video that is linked in the top right and the comments below going over all the different types of skins, bars, circles, arrows, even diamonds, and I really recommend it. It's a great video to go over all of the different nuances because there are a lot of different skins to the game. Not all of them are going to be perfect for you specifically, so it's really important to, from that 6 to 5 digit range, just experiment. Don't be afraid to change some stuff around, especially with the scroll speed. It's really important to find a scroll speed that works for you. And as you do that, your accuracy is going to fluctuate. But once you get more stable and you're a bit more confident, I would recommend trying to aim for like an S rank, which is going to be around 95%, because it is a really good way to still push your abilities a little bit, especially with more visually denser maps that are harder for you to read and understand, but still get enough accuracy to where you're not just completely mashing the map and you're at least still trying to play to the rhythm itself. And the second big piece of advice I can give, sadly, is just play more. I don't really like the idea of just telling people to just play more to get better. But at the 6-digit range, it really is the only thing you can do because you're so new to the game. You're still developing so many different skills to do with rhythm sense, finger coordination, your reading, your stamina, and just your ability to be more confident and understand the maps as a whole. So really the best way to improve that is just play a wide variety of maps, play songs that sound cool to you, and maybe sometimes try something stupid that's outside your skill range, because why not? It's fun to do that sometimes. Bounce around different skill sets, different mappers, have a good time. Check out the ranking system with all the new maps being ranked all the time. Just try them out. And I also want to make a clear point that you shouldn't worry about farming too much or too little. Try not to listen to other players too much when you're new to the game, because it's really important to just have your own journey of self-discovery to find what you enjoy doing in Osu. And I think it's also really healthy to have an aspiration, some sort of top player, some sort of goal you want to work towards. You know, some people idolize Saragi, Mayuka, Raginator. Just play whatever you want, have fun. Don't play Dans when you're 6-digit. It's just a bad idea. I don't even play Dans as a 4-digit, but if you want to when you get into a 5-digit, then that's fine. And speaking of 5-digit, let's move on to some helpful tips to improve as a 5-digit. As a 5-digit, I would say it's really important to start thinking more about those skill sets I mentioned earlier with this image again. Generally, at this point in the game, you're starting to think about what your favorite skill set is, what you seem to naturally feel the best at. And some people might already go into specializing with things like Jack or streams, and that's completely normal. And I also think one of the most important things is to have some clear goals laid out by now. It's okay if you don't, but it helps a lot to have goals such as passing Galaxy Collapse or getting your first 200, your first 300. And I also do want to say that I think PP farming is actually really good at this point in the game. The reason I said that farming isn't great at 6-digit is because you're still learning the fundamentals of the game a lot. You can do a little bit, but you're not really going to get much benefit from it. But I think at 5-digit, you're a lot more confident with the game, and you're kind of looking to see how far you can push your skill and also get some positive feedback from the improvement you've made. So I really do think 5-digit is kind of the range where you want to be grinding the game, farming as much as you can. You don't have to, but this is what I did. It worked well for me. I gained thousands and thousands of ranks. It felt great. I was having a great time. I was playing all sorts of different maps and just grinding towards the goals I had. But also try not to rush too much, because I think for a lot of people, the 5-digit range was honestly some of the most fun they ever had with Osu Mania, because you got to realize that as you get better at the game, the things that you can improve at just exponentially decrease and become harder and harder to min-max. So if you are relying on that lightning fast improvement rate, it is going to slow down no matter how cracked you are, unless you're like some 13-year-old genetic anomaly. You're going to slow down over time, and obviously you can still have a ton of fun at the 4-digit and even 3-digit, 2-digit, 1-digit range. I've had a great time as a 4-digit, and I think it has been some of the most fun I've had. But there are unique charms to being a 5-digit and having so much open to you. You just have so many options, so many things to do and learn. And it's definitely all right to play Dans at this rank range. I think a lot of people do start their Dan journey at about 5-digit from what I've heard. But again, I have my own personal bias against Dans because I just don't think they really are the greatest measurement of improvement. It really depends on the person, because a lot of people do hyper obsess over Dans, and it's never good to obsess over any type of map. That's always just going to lead to negative impacts on your improvement rate. But if you can play them in moderation, if you find them fun, then go for it. Like I said, it's important to have goals, and Dans can definitely be a way to help you have those goals. I would say for 5-digit, you want to focus on 88 to 99% accuracy. If you want to go for some SSs at 100% accuracy, feel free to. That's great. But I also do think it's important to not be too scared to push yourself a little bit at this range, because you do want to start getting a bit faster with your abilities as you're getting better at understanding and reading a lot of the more complex patterns. It eventually gets to the point where the difficulty increase is mostly just from maps getting faster rather than them getting denser. And of course, that can be different in some scenarios, especially with long notes, which can be pretty tricky for people at this skill range. So it's also important to think about things like Percy skins if you're interested, and just keep refining upon your experimentation and your abilities, and basically just preparing yourself for the absolute hell that is 4-digit. 4-digit is a really tough one to give advice on because it encompasses such a wide range of skills in such a few amount of people compared to 5 and 6-digit. One of the most important things I think to focus on in 4-digit is just finding ways to stay motivated even if you're not playing at your absolute best. Because I think for a lot of people, 4-digit is more of a lifestyle. Very few people make it to 3-digit. I mean, you know, 3-digit, that's 999 people. That's not a lot of people. So the majority of people are just going to kind of wind up in 4-digit forever. And that's definitely where I'm at. I peaked at 4,999 if I recall. I'm very happy I got there. Well, I think I'm going to be at 4-digit forever, and I kind of made my peace with that. You can choose to be an ACK main, a push main, you can main Jax, LN, tech, speed, dump, this everything. You can main whatever you want. You can practice whatever you want. You have all the freedom to do as you please. And in order to do that at 4-digit, just finding random maps doesn't really cut it anymore. I really recommend looking at specific mappers and just kind of building an interest in what those people make. So for example, Jay Hone, I probably said that really wrong, makes some great jack maps, really popular jack mapper. So if you're interested in quad jacks, stuff like that, then you can go to their Osu profile. I'll maybe even link some of their stuff in the description or the comments below. And if you're looking for LN, Hilotl has some banger LN maps that I used to really love and still do. And if you're looking for streams, I'm your guy. I got a bunch of new stream maps coming out and I just released my new stream pack. So if you want to go check it out, links in the comments below. I would really appreciate it if you checked it out, commented, and even maybe hearted it. I would love that. And this is the first point where tournaments are actually something that you can consider. At 5-digit, you are not playing a tourney. And even at 4-digit, you are going to struggle. But if you're an accuracy main, you might actually have a decent enough chance. One of the sad things is there used to be a 4-digit Mania World Cup, and it was specifically only for 4 digits, but sadly it doesn't run anymore. So most of the tournaments you're going to find as a 4-digit are going to be open rank tourneys, which means you are going to go against literal top players like 3 digits and 2 digits. But if you're good enough at accuracy, you could squeak out some pretty impressive placements. And even if you're not super great at tourneys, it's still a really fun experience. And even a 5-digit could try and participate, but I think 4-digit is where you're going to be thinking about this a lot more. And I do think once you get to this rank range, it kind of gets to a point where farming isn't actually always very beneficial, because a lot of the time you're not really going to be getting that positive feedback loop of seeing the improvement and the number going up. Because as I said before, your improvement slows down to a point where farming kind of just becomes looking for whatever new map abuses what your skill set is slightly more than the last. So that kind of becomes more of a system thing than an actual improvement thing. And if you get too lost in the sauce with farming, you're actually going to hurt your improvement. So there can be beneficial times where you do a big farm session every few months or so when you've got a bunch of improvement. But in general, farming, not a great thing at 4-digit. It's not something that's going to work long term. You can definitely go more into Dans at this point if that's something you're interested in. This is where people really start grinding out Dans and just trying to get on that progression track to get as good as possible. Me personally, the thing that's worked for me the best for 4-digit is just pushing as hard as I can on streams. I used to be a big jack main, but as I got into 4-digit, I actually transitioned into LN a lot more. And nowadays, as someone who's about the 5k, 6k range, I'm finding a lot more fun just pushing my raw speed on streams, and I'm just trying to get as fast as possible. Like I said, it is just really important to have fun long term as you're reaching 4-digit. If you're looking to go into 3-digit, my best advice is just play long notes. Honestly, the best advice I can give for someone even remotely close to 3-digit is seriously consider uploading videos of your gameplay, because people like Miyuka and Saragi gather such a big fan base just because they're so good at the game. And also, if you put effort into that content like Miyuka and Saragi do, you have a real good shot at actually having a good voice in the community, which can help make the game itself a lot better for the community and everyone overall. And it's also just really fun to see more people cropping up in the Mania community. Standard, people have been complaining about it dying, but Mania is like at the depths of hell. There's like nobody. So it'll be really cool to see more people with high skill levels in the game, just making it more hype again. And also, I do see a lot of 3-digits talking about how they've lost a lot of interest in the game. So it's also important to consider, like, why do you enjoy Mania? What is fun for you about the game, and why do you still play it today? And everyone always sees it as, you know, 6 digits, 5 digits are learning from 4 and 3 digits, but sometimes it can be the other way around. Sometimes 3 digits and above need to learn something from 5 digits, because over time you can get so involved and so addicted to the game, you can lose sight of why you started playing in the first place and just lose that fun. So I think it's also important to try and rekindle that. I really think the goal should be at this point just to find the best way to play long-term healthily and just maximize your fun. Because at 3-digit, you've pretty much won already. I know there are people that want to go that extra mile. They just want to keep pushing to the true top pinnacle player status. But I think for the majority of 3-digits, like, you've already done good enough by my eyes, at least. Just try and have a fun time for the rest of however long you play the game for, or maybe even go play some other VSRGs. Why not? Just have fun with it. You know, one thing that's been really inspirational is seeing Eliminate's journey, where he was very much into Osu Mania 4K, and then he started trying other game modes. He's really good at Taiko, he's really good at Catch, and he's also getting pretty good at Standard too. It's just so amazing to see someone who loved one mode so much, but eventually decided to branch out and found love in the other modes that Osu has to offer, because Osu is a lot more than just individual game modes. It's a whole intertwined community, and there's so much more to discover there. This is a point where you're really just considering other things to do with the game, and also the same thing for like low 4-digit. For example, with me, I've at times gotten bored of Mania. I've had enough of it, and I've started mapping because it's actually really fun. I don't make great maps, but as I said, I've got a stream pack that has just came out recently, and I used to make a bunch of Jack maps, and I enjoy playing my own maps. I think they suit my skill set really well. If some people don't like them, that's okay, but you know, if you are struggling to enjoy the game and finding things boring, you can always try mapping, you can try becoming a BN, you can try making music. There's so many other things adjacent to the rhythm game community and OSU as a whole where you can still get involved with the community and the game you love, whilst also taking a bit of a break from it. Icy World is a great example. I talked to Icy World before on my streams, and Icy World still plays the game after like over a decade, I think it was, something crazy like that. But they don't play at a competitive level. They don't push themselves because they just enjoy mapping and playing casually. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think people should really be more open to just playing the game casually because it's a game and it should be fun. And it feels weird to say this as the advice for 3-Digit, but I just feel like the more and more I play the game, the more I realize that it is easy to just lose that initial fun factor that you had when you started as a 6-Digit, as a 5-Digit, where you just want to play the game because it's fun and it's a game and that's all it is. So yeah, that's the best advice I can give for 3-Digits. I just think you need to remember that not everything is always about improvement. If it's helpful advice, let me know in the comments. If it isn't helpful, let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you like the video. I put a good amount of time into this video, and I always wanted to make a remaster to my original how to improve the OSU video because I felt like I missed some important things there. So yeah, I really hope this was what you were looking for. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Most people don't do that. If you haven't subscribed, please consider it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.